Tell me about the culture, like all these. I think you would have similar culture, like all are parts of British. So do you have culture difference, or just similar culture in Scotland, Wales, or England?
So
There
there
is any
is,
cultural difference?
yes, so there are cultural differences. We all have the same language, but Wales has its own language. So everyone speaks English, but Wales, we also speak Welsh. In Ireland and Northern Ireland, and they speak Gaelic. Um, in Scotland, oh, I can't remember. I think Scotland also speak Gaelic as well. Um, but so we have a language difference. We also it's not massively different, but we have our own food, so we have our own recipes. So in Wales, we have Welsh cakes. We have our own sort of national holidays where we celebrate our own patron saints. Um, we the sport that we love supporting is rugby, whereas in England it's more football. We have our own flag. We have our own celebration where we all have pubs, but in Wales the pubs are slightly different. Um, so not very stark differences, but the cultural trends are a little different. Where we still love sport, but it's more rugby than football. Um, we also have our own national dress. So the national dress
Hmm.
for celebrations is different, a bit like how Scotland has kilts.
Okay.
Wales has like a Welsh dress and a bonnet. We also have our own folk tales. We also have our own history with farmland and fairies and gnomes and things like that that doesn't exist in England. Um, yeah, and also our language is taught through education. So you have schools that teach completely in Welsh and only have one English class, um, where
Okay.
you're taught English language and English literature, um, and that doesn't exist in England.
Great. I think, yeah, it is a very big cultural difference. Like you have Wales in your schools, you don't, you just learn English as a language. Like in India, we learn English just as a language. Okay, it is a one language, and it's not a part of our curriculum as other subjects, mainstream subjects, right? So that's what same happened. Yeah, I am interested in the language of the Wales. Like, is
Mm.
it close to English or it is quite different from English?
So it's very different. So where English comes from the Anglo-Saxon, Welsh and Gaelic have similar roots. So it sounds very different. There's letters in the Welsh language that don't exist in the English language. And so there's different sounds, you enunciate differently. And so, for example, in English, you would say, I see children playing in the backyard with friends.
Mhm.
And in Welsh, you'd say, dwi'n gallu gweld plentyn yn chwarae mas di fas efo'i ffrindiau.
Gosh, it is quite different. Okay,
So
there
it
is,
sounds very different. Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So,
I mean, it has nothing to do with English. Yeah, to be honest, yes, I know the story of Saxons. Okay, they were a Germanic tribe. They invaded England. I mean, I had studied a little bit about the origin of English in my literature book, and I came to know about. So yes, I know English is derived from Saxons, but Wales is Wales, who were Wales? Like it was tribe
um,
or
so it's, so let me have a look. So it's, so it's not from a different country. So it's an evolution of a language that was shared with the Welsh, the Scottish, and the Irish. So Gaelic and Welsh come from the same root, but they branch off into different languages. Um, and Gaelic in Scotland would be different from Gaelic in Ireland. Um, but I don't think that it's. But I don't think it's from a different country. I think it's from the tribes of Wales and Scotland and things like that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's evolved quite a lot, and there was a period where people weren't allowed to speak Welsh, so there was a few generations where it's taken a long time to regain the language, and it wasn't a written down language. It's very new, the idea of writing in Welsh, because it was a very it was more of a verbal way of communication.
Verbal.
um yeah, so they wouldn't like send letters to different tribes. They didn't write down the histories. They didn't write down a lot of the folk tales. All of the history that we have on Wales beyond a certain date is the very few things that were written down, and folk tales that have been passed through generations, but there's not many. Whereas in
Got
English,
it.
it's all very written down. There's a lot of
Written
writing.
down.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Like in India, we have lots of languages which has not been written down. Okay, so it is verbal, like it has
Mm.
been passed from one generation to other generations. So yeah, so same goes with Wales. Okay, tell me one thing. Who is economically rich? Wales, Scotland, or England, or all have like evenly distributed resources?
So
Is there?
England is vastly wealthier than Scotland and Wales, in the way
Mhm.
that so the capital cities of Wales is Cardiff, and then the two largest cities in Scotland is Edinburgh and Glasgow. Glasgow, um, but the capital of England is London.
London, yeah.
And so most people, when they come to visit the UK, go to London. Also, the vast majority of business happens in London. So and also where all of the politics gets decided and discussed is also in London. England is vastly wealthier than the rest of the UK and always has been. Mostly because when the Anglo-Saxons came over, and the Romans came over, um, uh, Wales and Scotland were completely dominated. So they lost the Battle of Independence. So there's been a very
Mm-hmm.
long history of having been conquered by England and never being able to gather enough strength in order to be independent. Um, so England is in charge. And so all of the taxes that we pay go straight to England. And England gives back what they think that we need in order to run the country efficiently. So
Mm-hmm.
they decide how much money we're allowed to spend on education. They decide how much money we get to spend on healthcare. Um, and especially in Wales, there was a very famous miners' strike. And that was our main resource that we could actually generate wealth, was mining coal. Um, and in the 80s, Margaret Thatcher wanted to close down all the mines. And so there was a massive strike amongst the miners saying, without the mines, we are completely unable to generate our own wealth. And so we won't be able to pay England. We won't be able to pay taxes. And we won't be able
Mm-hmm.
to afford food in some rural parts of Wales. Um, and of course we lost, so all of the mines were closed down, and most of the mining communities have still not been able to recover 40-50 years on, because there's nothing to replace the mines that generate that kind of income. And because we lost that political argument, England has been able to reduce the amount that we're able to spend on education, reduce the amount that we spend on healthcare. So in Wales, we have the worst healthcare, we have the worst education, we have the worst judicial system because England was able to say, oh, well, you lost the miners' strike, and we had to spend our resources on trying to, of sending police, of spending a lot of resources uh, on trying to calm the situation down, basically. So there are consequences to wanting independence or having disagreements with England, and it is difficult. But
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, sure. I understand the habit of English or Britishers. They have been dominating all over the world throughout colonization. What we say,
mm,
colonization. Okay.
colonization. Yeah,
Yes. So British colonization. I think almost every part of the world, all the major countries of the world were invaded by English and British colonization. So yes, England is wealthy not because of only I think the taxes that you guys are paying. They are wealthy because of the colonization that they done all over the world, right? So still we have debate with England about our one of the diamonds that is known as Kohinoor diamond, okay, that has been taken away by English during British colonization in India. So yes, and they have done lots of good works in India as well. Yeah, so we can't deny it. Yeah, so yeah, I think Britishers know how to dominate all over the world. So that's not a big deal for them to dominate Wales or I think Scotland. Yeah, that's their
yeah.
part.
They practiced with Wales and Scotland, and then then went off to everywhere else. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it is quite crazy.
Mhm.
But yeah, but it's
So
going to be an ongoing conversation, I think.
yeah, so it is like when I was learning in my history book, my history book was full of English, Britishers, colonizations and things. Then if you come to India, our history book is full of these colonizations, things that happened in India, and they ruled India over 300 years, so like they completely dominant over 300 years in India, right? I think it was weakness of Indians as well. But as far as wealth is concerned, they taken away the huge amount of wealth from India. That's
Yeah,
yeah. So that's happened in India too. So I understand, that taxation problem in your country, like you are giving resources to run the English, right? To just run the country, like they are taking taxes from you and they are running through that taxes. Your country is being ruled by them because of that taxes, right, that you are paying. So like they decide everything, how much wealth should be uh, given to your wealth. They dominate everything: education, healthcare, politics. I think everything all together. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It is. Yeah, yeah. It's very complicated because it's always been like that. So it's difficult to try and renegotiate after it becoming almost a part of your national identity or tradition that there's no previous example of independence. So how can you renegotiate when you're not very sure as to what you want out of the negotiation? And again, because Wales has never had any history of independence, there's no legislation to fall back on. There's no um, examples of how it will benefit Wales. So a lot of people say, well, yeah, this is really bad, but would it be worse if we were independent? How would we generate our own economy? And things when we've always
Yeah.
sort of used where England has always told us how to run the economy.
So there are so many challenges because when you are nobody other countries would not recognize you as a country. Okay, so first of all, it happens like if any part of the world want to independence from parts of or dominance of other countries, then there is need that other countries should recognize you as a independent part of country. You are like other country would start recognizing, no, Wales is an independent part in the independent country, then only you can take a step towards getting uh, freedom. Okay, you can make your constitution, your own legislation, but unless other countries are giving you favor, supporting you that you are independent part, you can do anything. Just you don't have any
Mm,
choice. You have to just go with that political system that is ruling your country, or uh, the whichever way they are doing, I don't know. But yes, sometimes it looked like, you, when you consider, like you told me you are from Wales, not from England, then Wales should be a Wales independent country, as in my opinion. Okay. Yeah. So
yeah.
there's. Mhm.
Yeah, it's very interesting, especially when people ask people from Wales or Scotland, do you see yourself as Welsh, Scottish, or British? Like, do you see yourself as part of a United Kingdom more than from Wales or Scotland? And my usually it depends on who's asking, because it might be easier for someone to think of me as part of the UK, but for myself, I do see myself more as Welsh than British. Um, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I've just seen that we've only got 20 seconds left of the conversation, but it's been an absolute pleasure.
Okay. Same here. Yeah, it was nice talking with you, and hope to see you again. So,
Definitely.
bye.
Thank you very much. Have a good
Bye.
rest of your day.